My name is Cassie Lewis. I'm a co-steward at the Beacon Hill Community Garden. Today is Saturday, November 16th. We have a garden work day every third Saturday of the month. This is a pretty typical work day. We usually have a project that we need to get done. I first wanted to show you our Beacon Hill Community Garden sign. We've been a community garden since 2008. I wanted to point out the pavilion. This was a design-build project by the UTSA architect class. They designed the project, and over a semester they built this pavilion. This has been a great space for us. We meet here on work days. We've had 4 events this year at the community garden. One was a bike tour that Green Space Alliance sponsored, and all the bikers came and toured our garden, and we sat here in the pavilion and talked. We also had a come out and play day that the city sponsored, that we had some kids activity in the garden. We also have sunrise service here every year. Another fun event we had in the garden was a movie night sponsored by Green Space Alliance. They hung the screen here, and we had a potluck, and we showed a movie called Happiness, and it was a great event. And this is, we have kids come to the garden, and they help us dig and plant. This hand, there you go. And this year, the Junior League donated, you know, you have 2 white gloves. Go trade. Oh, there you go. Go trade. Junior League donated kid gloves, kid shovels, and that's just been a great addition. Let's go look at the veggie garden.
What about this?
This is a library shelf that we put in this year. A neighbor built the library shelf, and it's called Take a Book, Leave a Book, and it's been a great addition to the garden.
This is a wheelchair accessible planter box with a seat in the center.
Okay.
And it was donated to us by Lake Plato Architects. And it was used at a TED Talk. So, you know, TED's pretty famous on YouTube.
Right.
So we're part of that.
Part of the pavilion is an aqueduct, and that's why we have this water barrel. A project that we're going to do this year is level the water barrel and cover it, because water barrels should not, the water should not get sun, because that causes algae. So that's a project that we're going to do this year along with the raised beds. We have 10 family veggie plots in this area. The families eat out of their gardens. There's lots of produce. Right now we're getting lots of eggplant, lots of greens. We have some fall tomatoes coming on. Mark has lots of arugula, greens. His garden, I think, is the prettiest and the most productive right now in the garden. Let's not say.
I'm Dara, and these are my helpers in the garden. They are helping me dig holes to put in native plants. I've got 4 very good helpers here. They're learning to be water savers, not water wasters. Right, guys?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
What do you guys think about the garden?
We're thinking about
One at a time.
I'm thinking of saving the garden.
Great.
I'm thinking about some people could get some vegetables to cook at their houses, and they could, if they run out of food, they can just come by a garden and pick food.
Exactly.
Very good.
I know.
What do you think about the garden, sweetie?
I like it.
Do you like it? What do you like about it?
The flowers.
The flowers. All right. Very good.
And Benji?
And what do you like, Benji?
I want to dig.
You want to dig, right?
Just want to introduce Margaret.
Hi,
She's a
guys.
great gardener. She has a plot behind us, and she comes to every work day. And
It's fun to play in the garden.
we call Jerry the dirt doctor, because he's always responsible for getting dirt and mulch. And he is the only one in the garden that has a pickup truck, so he's always doing lots of work for us. And he never complains. It's wonderful. So,
Don't tell my wife that.
yeah, right. So this is another raised bed that we're working on. And this is the compost that we're using that will amend the soil. And these are other gardeners. This is Cynthia and Mark and Trish and Jean.
Hey, Jean.
And Kalela.
Big close-up for you.
Oh, good. That's what we need. And then get Kalela over here.
Where's Kalela at? Over there.
This is our compost pile. It's not quite in the right location. We need to have better access to bring in dirt and mulch. So another project that we have this year is to reposition the garden, the compost pile, and we're going to move it over on the other side of the tree and have better access to bring in dirt and mulch.
So Steve, this is our butterfly area, and normally we have a lot of painted ladies and monarchs, swallowtail butterflies in this area, but of course this time of year it's starting to get cold, so we don't have quite as many. And this is a tile that I made and fired, and then John Carlos put a frame around it, and so now everybody will know where the butterfly garden is.
Last year we put this fence in to establish a boundary on this side of the garden, and we started an orchard. We have 2 fig trees at this end of the garden, and we have a plum and some citrus at the other end of the garden.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Cynthia. A couple of years ago, my husband was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, and we had a really tough 2 years, and he had finally gotten things under control after spending a lot of time in Houston at MD Anderson, but we couldn't get, his body was doing okay, but we couldn't get our souls, our spirits to be okay. We were depressed, we were anxious, kind of fearful, and it was just showing up in the way we were thinking about the world. And so Mark got a community garden plot. We've been working on the community garden to create it, but he got a plot. And all of a sudden, it was about life. I mean, I look back and I consider that a turning point in our lives. There were seeds on the kitchen table. There were, talk of things growing and planting and new life. And when we both look back, that it was this community garden that really made a radical change in our lives. It brought us back to life instead of thinking about illness and death.
Okay, my name is Kalela Bilal, and I wrote a poem called It Takes a Garden to Raise a Community. And Cynthia is going to honor me in reading the poem to me.
Since it's about community. Choking in anger, anger sat in my bowels, it is the fiber of my hair, debilitated from fear, I begin to weed, it takes the pain away. It takes a garden to raise a community. I found solace in the garden, rising before dawn, I leave before the heat of day, my body welcomes me to go. Destiny provides a way for me to return to a place Dorothy called home. In the garden, I'm able to talk to myself. My roots anchor to the collective subconscious that has no name, a dimension where time is an illusion and the garden is my place to find solutions. It takes time to nibble on raw okra, string beans submitted to the womb of the earth. It takes a garden to raise a community. Working in the garden is prayer. Putting together a structure to hold pole beans is meditation. Every moon day with a friend, sacred books are read, wounds are healed. A neighbor recruited to dig a hole, children gather rocks, some gather straw to put around a transplanted tree. Children ask to water, some rather throw a frisbee. It takes a garden to raise a community. Chi flows, burdens of sorrow removed from the heart, clouds pull apart. Gently placing seeds in soil, looking up to catch the cats at play, reminds me to live gently and in a certain way. The garden gives me new beginning, initiating love, planted in my heart as I watch the birds and butterflies and bees do their part, and insects we hardly praise. Bringing together unlike faces transform into them unspoken cooperation, hose fixer, grass cutters, welders, planters, compost keepers, soil and mulch deliver, movie night planners, sign makers, tree trimmer and pruners, people that water thirsty plants, hole diggers, garbage hunters, seed and plant bringers. It takes a community to raise a garden. I have survived the pain of my internal wounds. I'm confident now that I'm not meant to live alone, but in community. Learning to share thoughts and ideas, caring about the little ones that live near. It takes a garden to raise a community. Being part of Beacon Hill Community Garden has taught me how to live with others in harmony, disagree without being disagreeable, feeling frustration without being absorbed. The ebb and flow of emotions is part of my humanity. Like the finger on a hand, each gardener distinguished, separate but work as one, we find something in common before conversation ends. It takes a garden to raise a community. To bring together unlike faces, men helping women with smiles on their faces, women helping women, jobs that would be hard to do with just one. It takes a garden to raise a community.